Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to our channel. In today's video, I'm going to answer a few questions that have been kind of relevant on our channel in the last few weeks. Well, for one, you guys want to know why we're not traveling, and two, you guys keep egging me out on politics. So, why we're not traveling as much as we used to is a great question for the channel. And the answer to that is the following. My sleeping pattern has been a struggle since we moved back to Florida because I want to wake up at 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and that's not healthy. When I lived in Alabama, the weather was cooler and more cloudy days. My schedule made sense. I'd wake up at 9, 10 a.m. naturally, and I was able to live a normal functioning life. But when you wake up at 4 in the afternoon, the day is over before it started. The reason we're not traveling is because of our sleeping pattern right now. One reason, at least, is that we are waking up so late that by the time we wake up, the day's over. There's nothing to accomplish. We've tried fixing our sleeping schedule, and it's very difficult here in Florida for us to get our sleeping schedule right. Last road trip that we went on to Jacksonville, we tried to fix our sleeping schedule by just going. The whole time we were on the road, I was tired. It was a very unproductive trip. We did one video that did really well, luckily, but it wasn't a productive trip. When we're paying for hotels and being on the road, I have to record a few hours of video a day for the math to work out. Everybody wants to be a travel blogger, right? Everybody wants to be a travel blogger, and I can do that, but I choose not to for a few reasons. One reason is that, guys, it honestly gets tiring. Like, we've been traveling now for a few years, and it's not fun anymore. It really isn't. It's exhausting. You miss being at home. Like, it messes up your whole being on the road. I mean, it's actually pretty stressful. If you go on a 10-day road trip once a year, it feels great, but every month, like we've been doing maybe in the last few years, it becomes to the point where you wake up in a hotel room and you don't know where you're at. It's a nasty feeling because your body wants a home, a house, like a routine. Like, your body wants a routine, and by being in all these different time zones, by traveling so much, and then you're stuck in a car for 8 hours a day, and it's not healthy. It's really, like, every time we go on a road trip, we gain weight, and when we're at home, we're able to slowly reduce our pounds, and just our health gets better once we're here in town because we're able to walk more. But when you're on the highway, there's days where you have to drive 8 or 10 hours a day. And being in a car not moving for 8, 10 hours a day, that's not natural. It's not good for you. It's not healthy. And, so basically the reason we're not traveling as much as you guys would want us to is also because simply it's not healthy to be in a car that long. And you could say you can get up and walk and do this. You could, but the bottom line is you're still sitting perfectly still for 8 hours a day in a car, and that's not healthy. I have health problems that you guys may not know about. I had problems with my stomach. When I lived in Alabama, I saw a doctor, and the doctor in Alabama told me, at this point, you probably have stomach cancer. And at that point, I just stopped going to the doctors and just didn't care to look further into it. I'm not gonna worry. My mom died from cancer, and I've had family members get cancer, and I don't really care for the medical process. I feel like if I'm going to pass from that, then I'd rather not spend my time in a medical office. I'd rather spend my time on a beach or in a field, which would probably reduce my stress levels and probably won't happen then. I just feel like just the stress of those doctor's visits and all that, I feel like if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen, so why even, I don't believe in medicine a lot. I saw my mother having cancer, that nothing that she went through made sense. And at the end of the day, before they came to pick up her body, they came to pick up the medicine. So it seemed like what was more important to them wasn't even the life, it was the treatments and their program. So I don't care for it. But I do have health problems that I don't want to aggravate, and being on the road many times does aggravate those problems. When you travel to different regions of the country, the food that I can get here in Florida is what I know is not going to be harsh on me. I eat what I want every day, I have my routine, and when you're on the road, you just can't have that routine. For a while, hotels got expensive. They're starting to come down on prices now to where they're more reasonable, but I still don't think, it's $100 on a hotel a night, or $200, which is okay. The problem is that I'm paying rent here. So every day that I'm not here, I'm still paying $67 to keep this place running. So what I told Katie when we moved up here, I told her, okay, we're gonna pay more rent. Housing is gonna be more expensive. We're gonna live in a nicer, cleaner, safer neighborhood, but our home will be our hotel. So when we moved up here, we understood that our home would be our hotel, and that we would have nice accommodations at home, but we would have to work locally more. I know a lot of you guys simply want the travel videos from us. One, it's not fun to travel anymore. I mean, I've seen every city in 36 states that you could think of. So like the closest state that I haven't seen would be, I think, Vermont in one direction, and like Utah in the other direction, or Wyoming. It's ridiculous, or Iowa. Like the distances that I would have to travel to get to a state that I've never been to is so far now that it makes more sense to fly into places than it does to drive. So that requires a plane ticket, and it requires a auto rental, and that brings the daily cost of being on the road significantly higher. So it's just mathematically, it doesn't make sense to travel. I've already seen a lot of different states, and I kind of understand what I like, what I don't like. When we started this journey of traveling, it was because we wanted to find a place we liked. And we like Florida. We like California too. There's states that have lots of beaches and lots of nature, which are the two things that we like. Right now, I've had a lot of people that have told me, Jose, I've been watching your videos. I was thinking about moving to Florida, and your videos changed my mind about moving to Florida. That isn't really the goal of these videos, to deter you from moving to Florida. I think, the news today is garbage, as you guys know. I mean, Fox News gives you one angle, CNN gives you another angle, and people are just blind. They either believe this or they believe that. And me being neutral has been a trip up for people, especially people who are on the Fox News side of things, because they want to kind of bully you into, like, they almost want to like convert you into one of them, and they want to, if you say any small little thing that doesn't match their narrative, now they start to cyberbully you and say, oh, you're a liberal, you're a communist, you're a socialist, and then they start saying racist things. This morning I went through my held for review comments. I posted up a little video just showing my car at a gas station. I washed my car and I took a picture of it and did a short for YouTube. Somebody goes on there and says something very offensive on a racial line. So, I've lived in Alabama, and I believed for a little minute, that this whole rural life and all this over here made more sense than that. Now, I'm politically neutral. It means I don't support either party in the United States. I don't hate anybody, but I don't participate. I don't support. I'm not registered to vote. I'm never going to be registered to vote. I simply do not care about politics. So it doesn't matter to me. But the problem we're having on our channel is that the people over here are trying to cyberbully me and tell me that I'm over here because I'm not with them. And it's getting to the point where I'll upload a video about any random thing, and there they are cyberbullying me. And it really bothers them that I won't say left or right, that I just don't care. Like, that just makes them even angrier, because they think that they have some power of persuasion over, I don't know what they think, but it's literally disgusting. And I hate it because our channel is about travel and Florida news. Now, when you watch the news today, you're either getting CNN or you're getting Fox News. There's an agenda behind it, okay? I don't have an agenda behind my coverage, okay? I go out there and I say, what is the most relevant news story that I can come up with today? What's really happening in Florida? And when I do that, it could fall here, it could fall here, it could fall here, it could fall here. If we had an agenda, which we don't. Unfortunately, a lot of the things that we're seeing in Florida make the people over here think that we're over here. Because the people over here, if it doesn't match their narrative, they don't accept it. And guys, I don't want our channel to be that. And what I've been doing is I've just been blocking. When I see somebody do that, I've been blocking it. But YouTube no longer lets you block people from your channel. You can hide the user from the channel, but you can't block them. So what they figured out is they figured out a way of kind of still having a presence on my channel, because you can't just block. I used to just block people. If I see somebody and all they go to is politics, I just block them. And I don't care which direction. I just don't want politics on my channel, because I want the comment section of my videos to be about the topic, not the politics. And the thing is, everything is about politics today. From the food you drink, the car you drive, people want to politicize everything. So when you have a YouTube channel like mine that doesn't fall into any of those narratives, when I drop a news story, people are just trying to figure out. When you look at your computer screen right now, like right now, I'm just gonna randomly pick I'm looking at my computer screen and I'm seeing different news stories that are coming up right now. And one of them is Fox, ABC, CBS, Forbes, and CNN. So like when you see these news articles, the first thing your mind goes to is, out of a protection almost, is what angle is this coming at me from? I can see now an old guy wearing a tie, and I can already tell what his angle is going to be on the story. And I see another guy over here, and I know his angle's like that. So when people come to my channel, the first thing they see is just trying to figure out where you fall on the lines of politics. Because most people covering news today have a political agenda. So by not having a political agenda, it confuses people on my channel, and then they try to label you. Because since they don't understand what you're doing, they want to label you. And we've had a lot of people over here that want to label me over here simply because they don't think I'm clear enough on the narrative they want. It's not going to change the way I do my news reporting, okay? I report news down the middle. Some issues may look like they fall over here. Some issues may look like they fall over there. So here I have right now a video out of Charlotte, North Carolina that exposes something in the African American community. So the people over here are calling me a racist and a bigot. They're putting me way up here on this chart. Okay, now drop another video about how we've seen an increase in white murders in Southwest Florida, which is true, okay? I have never seen this. I always keep on top of our news, all the things that are happening in Southwest Florida. We've never had this problem. And in fact, we just this morning had another murder in Estero, Florida. Now, they haven't said the demographics of the people involved, but because it's Estero, Florida, we can almost guess it's 97% white in Estero. So it's gonna be another white murder in Southwest Florida. It just happened overnight last night. So it's a real news story. Now, the problem with this news story is that the people over here, the Fox News guys, are like, whoa, he's way over there. Oh, he's really gone deep now. It's a real news story. And I published my video yesterday, and just this morning, there was a murder in Estero, Florida. It's not normal for there to be a murder in Estero, Florida. That's not where those things usually happen. It is a relevant news story. Now, it doesn't match your narrative, but I don't give a crap if it doesn't match your narrative, okay? I'm not a crowd pleaser. I'm not here to please a bunch of old farts in Florida, and I'm not here to promote some type of liberal agenda either. I'm here to do accurate news reporting. And accurate news reporting means putting away both of those political narratives and just looking at the story. Now, last night, like I said, I published a video, and the people here like, oh, now you hate white people. When did I say that I hate white people? My wife is white. I choose to live in white communities. How does any of that equate to me hating white people? It doesn't. In fact, by exposing a news article that's portraying the white communities, I'm actually helping the white community to understand that here's a new problem in your community. I'm informing people about situations that are affecting their communities. Unfortunately, people come to my channel because the news stories that I track down and the things that I see in society are just totally out of the realm of what most people are seeing. For example, we went on exposing the homeless situation. The issue with homelessness is that it is actually on a decline. These homeless camps in Florida, we're at the tail end of the situation. It was way up here. It was huge. Now it's a little, we're catching this story at the bottom. We didn't catch the story at the top. We didn't catch the story when these homeless camps were full of people and they were growing. We caught the story where the city's already got rid of most of them and they're almost disappearing. That's where we're catching the end tail. So for all these years, this homeless camp situation in Florida has had full reign and nobody really went after those stories. Now that I pick it up at the tail end, all the other news agencies and all the other, they actually went, they're real journalists because they went to school, so I'm not a real journalist. But the real journalists who went to schools, now all of a sudden, because I pick up this story, now they jump on it, and now this is a huge thing in Florida. Well, we're at the tail end of this topic. It's almost like not even a news story. It was a news story when it was at its peak. It's not a news story anymore. And I've always been aware of this situation because there was homeless camps in Florida when I was growing up. We would go in the woods and there'd be homeless camps. It's nothing new in Florida. So now, because I start exposing homeless camps at the tail end of the problem, people now that are moving to Florida now, this is the idiocracy of people because they find a YouTube channel, they find a podcast or a blogger, and they make all their investing, all their financial, where they're gonna live, everything that they do is based off an idiot like me on the internet, okay? That determines everything. I've had Katie's lost like 3 or 4 sales already because people are like, well, I was gonna move to Florida, but I saw your homeless camp videos and now I'm reconsidering it. 3 or 4 years ago, when this was really a problem and nobody was reporting on it, thousands of people moved to Florida and the homeless camp situation wasn't relevant to them. Why wasn't it relevant to them? Because it wasn't being covered. The problem always existed, it was just never being covered. And this just goes to show the stupidity of people in that they believe everything they see on YouTube, either coming from me or from Fox News or CNN or a podcaster. They believe these narratives that people like me and other stupid idiots put out there, and then they run and make life decisions based off of something they saw on YouTube or a top 10 list or something. And it's so stupid. For one, it's stupid because this issue of homeless camps in Florida has always existed and nobody made any life decisions based off of that. Now people are backing off of moving from Florida, and we've got probably 10 other emails at least from people who are saying, well, we're not going to use you guys as realtors, but we were going to move to Florida, but you changed our minds. What's interesting about that statement is that this problem has always existed in Florida, but it was never exposed. Now that it's exposed, it's relevant, and it jumps on the priority of people's agendas on what they're going to do with their lives. Yes, I'm now exposing homelessness in Florida. It's always existed. It just wasn't shown to you. Those thousands of people that moved to Florida during the COVID eras, none of them were exposed to that topic. None of this was relevant to them then, when it was worst. I'm not registered to vote. I don't care to vote. I don't care to change your opinion on how you vote either. So there is no real agenda to my channel, and unfortunately, people over here are kind of attacking my channel because they want me to preach their narrative. They want me to be a warrior for them, but and it's understandable. My audience, I don't get to control your. I don't know if you notice, as a YouTube creator, you don't get to pick your audience. My audience is mostly people in their mid-30s to mid-60s. This is the large bulk of my audience. So with my bulk audience being people in the South in that age range, it's understandable that the vast majority of my audience is currently interested in politics. However, that's not what this channel is about. It's not what it's gonna be about. And by continually pressuring me or labeling me, I don't like being labeled, okay? Don't try to label my channel simply because it doesn't match your narrative. I've had people over here label me as racist. I've had people over here label me 1,000, try to label me as well. So, what people try to do now is they try to bully you into their politics. So people over here are like, well, you're a racist, you're insensitive, to try to like label you as a racist to see if you go with them. And the people over here are doing the same thing. They're labeling you a communist to see if you go with them. But I'm focused on going forward, and I don't really care to get involved in politics. It doesn't interest me. Clearly, it's become a problem for a lot of my subscribers, and they're not even enjoying my content. It's like, you're not seeing my story, you're not seeing my perspective, because you're not trying to understand what my video is about. You're trying to see what angle it's coming from. And that means that people are coming to my videos, they're watching my videos, but they're not understanding the video because they're focused so much on trying to understand what angle it's coming from that they can't even see the video. And it's really sad that people have become so blind that they can't even see something for what it is. They have to label it something. Recently had people trying to, now you have people trying to label Hispanics as Latinx. I'm not Latinx, I'm Latino or Latina. I don't need you to brand me or relabel me, Don't try to label me. There's no putting a label on me. And I feel like because I don't want to be labeled, makes the people that want to label you even more inclined to want to label you, because they think that they can bully you into buying into their politics, and it's not going to work. What I want to do is bring you journalism that's real, accurate, depicts what's really happening in Florida. And if you're coming to my channel and you're just trying to see a political narrative, it's literally going to confuse you because there is none. It's looking for something in a place where it doesn't exist. And I hope that by the type of content that I bring you guys and the fact that I don't take sides on anything would be a good incentive for people to think deeper, but they can't. The truth. People don't want the truth. You tell people something, you expose something that's real, undisputable, and they don't want to see it. People want you to put their narrative out there, and if it's not their narrative, they don't want to see you. We're living in an age where, despite having more access to information than has ever existed in human history, people don't want the truth. People want their angle, their narrative, and nothing else. And as the vast majority of people pick either one narrative or the other, and they only accept content that's coming from their narrative, the stupider society gets, the less people are thinking for themselves, and the harder my job becomes, because you're either being labeled one thing by one group or labeled another thing by another, or quite simply, your audience doesn't even get to understand your content because they're so focused on trying to decipher your narrative that they miss the whole story. And I don't put political agenda spins on my stories. If it sounds like to you that my articles have a political spin, it's because you have been so brainwashed that you can't even think clearly. Now, I cover real stories, and if my real story, you're over here on Fox News, and my real story is gonna offend the crap out of you, let it offend you. I'm not gonna change my narrative because you don't like it. And the same thing for people over here. If my accurate news reporting offends you for some reason, that's your take on the story. It's sad that that's as far as you can see. I expose real news stories that are relevant. Like, I exposed that there's a homeless camp near a school. Is anything going to be done about that? Absolutely not. Why? Because children are no longer important to people. Does it sound pretty? I'm not here to tickle your ears. I'm not here to be a crowd pleaser. I'm here to look in my environment, see what the real stories that are happening that are definitely newsworthy are, and bring that to you. Now, if you want to put a political twist on it, that's up to you. I don't have to travel, guys. I make more money at home. The reason I make more money at home is because I'm not paying for a hotel. I'm not stressed out. I can just sit in front of my computer, drop a video, and it gets more views. And I know a lot of you guys have been following my channel solely for the travels. The problem is, right now, physically, we just can't do it. Monetarily, we could pull it off if we wanted to, but it's not fun for me and Katie to be on the road all the time. It really isn't. She's got a real estate career to follow, and that means she can't just disappear for 15 days like we used to. I understand what's out there, and I don't like it. I like two places. I like Florida and I like California. Both states suck in that politics are so important in both of these states. In California, you got the California garbage, and Florida, you got the Florida garbage. And to be honest, the worst thing about California and the worst thing about Florida is the politics for both states, because none of it makes sense. They're so extreme that it doesn't make sense. And it's horrible because these are the two most beautiful states in the entire country. Okay, the two most beautiful states are Florida and California, and they're both being made difficult to live in because of how much relevance politics make in your life. You send your kids to school so they learn how to read and write. Well, if they're in Florida, they want to indoctrinate them into one thing, and if they're in California, then they want to indoctrinate your children into something else. But here's the problem. Kids go to school and learn how to read and write, not to be indoctrinated by politicians. You guys have asked me why don't we have kids? I don't want to have kids. Why would I want to have kids in this world? If you live over here, they're trying to indoctrinate your kids one thing. If you live over here, they're trying to indoctrinate the other. You know what they're not focused on? The fact that both in Florida and in California, you have a homeless camp 200 feet from a school. It's a felony to have anything illegal within 1,000 feet of a school. Does that matter? No, because they're not worried about the children. They're worried about their politics. And I see the disgusting nature of both sides of the story. I don't see the positive in either side. I just see the destructive, disgusting power, and I don't like it. I'm just not into it. Regardless, guys, I know you guys want us to travel more. When we travel in the future, I think we're going to be going to places like Puerto Rico, Mexico. We just recently went to Canada. We're going to travel less often, but when we travel, it will be an eye-opening experience into another part of the world. There's no point to continue traveling through the Deep South, okay? We've seen it. It's all the same. It's disgusting to me. I don't like the food. I don't like the people. I just don't like to travel to the South. At first it was interesting, but then when I started to realize, how people really are, how they're racist, how they're backwards, I'm not interested in seeing that. When I went to Colorado, it was interesting to see their take on me. We're gonna travel less often, But when we do travel, it'll be an eye-opening experience.